Hey everybody, it's Mike over here at Growtopia, and I just want to show you guys what we got growing on so far. Our corn is doing very, very well. As you can see, they got the nice little tassels on top of them, dropping down below, nicely all packed together. And we got some other stuff. Our Japanese corn is slowly pecking away there, and our cabbage looks like it's almost probably ready to harvest. Now this year we're having like a little weird of a situation. So like our cucumbers aren't really where they were last year, and the reason why is there's two reasons. One, we had temperature, a lot of rain, and also a little bit too late of planting. But that's fine. We can always take care of that because it's only mid-July. We're in zone 7A. So as long as you keep up with the watering, and you watch your plants and you watch the weather, everything will work out on its own. Now our tomato plants are kind of a mix. So being that a lot of these tomato plants are all kind of different heights, it's basically because they were all planted at different times. And we also lost a lot in the beginning, but we have a lot right now. So if you look at these ones, some nice tomatoes right there. And some of them you got to also keep an eye on too. So like we got green German and green beefsteak tomatoes and green Cherokees. So here's a green Cherokee tomato. Now this tomato is getting really, really big, and it's still a little hard, and I'm not really 100% sure if I want to pick it yet, because if I pick it too early, then it's going to sit in the house for a while and ripen, if it ripens. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time and then pick it, because you don't want it to ripen on the vine itself, because then what ends up happening is that the plant stops doing production. So you want the plant to constantly keep producing. But because we have over 50 tomato plants in a 20 plant location, things are getting a little funky this year. But hey, that's fine. Even over here, sometimes you got to get down there. So we have a green, right, Aunt Rubies, and you can see the green one right here. And I just saw it when I was squatting down. It's one right there, and it's growing at a weird angle because the plants are so close to each other that it has nowhere to go other than sideways. And I just give it a little light touch, and that's it. Another cool one that we have is a rainbow beefsteak tomato. And with the rainbow beefsteaks, you can see the stems are a different color. And then look at this. So all this is on here that you're seeing is just water. They were just watered recently. Look at that color. That's pretty cool. And they're going to get bigger. So don't always pick early, but also pick early when they're at basically the size you want to pick them at, which is almost the size of a golf ball, maybe a little bit bigger. And honestly, sometimes picking them early really isn't that big of a problem. But yeah, our cucumbers running along our fence line is, they're not as a great size that they were last year, but we have also had some wild temperatures, wild weather, but everything out here has been doing its best to survive. And it's not just always about like farming or growing your own plants for food, but also it's a fun enjoyment, because you got to remember, these all started as a seed. All this was just a simple seed you put in the ground, you put into a pot, and now you got something growing, and now you got to take care of it. So basically, I feel like I have probably about 100 plus children out here, and it's very insane sometimes. The buckwheat, as you can tell here, they're slowly kind of getting there. Now, they almost look like they're ready for harvest. And I really want to take the buckwheat seeds that I get just from this bed alone and turn them into flour and then make bread out of them. And I feel like that's probably really not going to happen. And if it is, it's like a half of a loaf of bread. Or not even a half a loaf, half of a slice of bread. But what's great, though, is that next year, this bed's going to have all the right nutrients that it's going to get from what I planted in here. And unfortunately, because I did sacrifice the bed, I couldn't grow anything in it this year. But this year has been really funky. I've been really focusing more on tomatoes than anything else. I got tomatoes and corn are like my two major focuses right now. Peppers, I didn't do this year. Zucchini, I didn't do this year. Cucumbers, I'm trying to keep up with that. I got my tropicals. I got crazy stuff in the front yard that I'm trying to take care of. I got my raspberry bushes right now that are just cranking out. And obviously this bed has been pretty dormant. And I tried putting the carrots in here, and for some reason, weird reason, the carrots didn't take off. So I'm not really getting worried about it. I'm not upset about it. I got other stuff. I got brassicas in different areas. And I'm also planning on next year's plants. That's always the best thing to really focus on. What you want to grow next year, if it's going to be something that takes a while, such as like cabbages and cauliflower. Now, maybe it's just me, but I feel like sometimes they take a while. But the buckwheat has definitely been bringing in a ton of pollinators, and I've been actually focusing a little bit on perennial plants that I can actually put in here that's not going to affect anything at all in a negative way. They're going to bring in more pollinators, some hummingbirds, a lot of bees. But if we like jump into here, right? So that little dead bush, I was just trying to grow something, but we got cucamelons that are in that corner. We got peanut plants. I grow my own peanuts. We got radishes and more citronellas all over the place. We got some peppers in here that just seem to not change their size, and grapes as well. And it's kind of tough when you're like starting off and you're just trying to like do a little bit at a time, but you don't want to turn this into a full-time job. Unfortunately, it does. So if we jump over to the shade house, like I said before, we got our beans in the back. We got our romaine lettuce. We got a tiny Tim that's back there as well. That's kind of crawling along because it's really not getting a lot of sunlight, but that's okay. Got our kale, right? Look at our kale right here. Beautiful kale leaf. Radishes that are down there. We got our carrots in the back. Got a tomato that's sitting right there, and then we got our squashes, and our squashes are taking over the greenhouse, unfortunately. But we also have a green cabbage, and that green cabbage, look at those leaves, how vibrant that color is. No filtering, nothing on the phone at all. It's just, it is super vibrant, and I keep looking at it, and I hope this green cabbage gets a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. Now you start seeing a lot of biting being done, right? That comes from slugs. So I found some slugs in here, and I started pulling the slugs out. And unfortunately, you're going to find that no matter what you're doing. So you got to honestly keep up with everything under the sun, but also taking a look at stuff. So if you are trying to wonder if you can grow squash or anything inside of a greenhouse, you can. They are going to get bigger, but you also have to hope that the pollinators come through the vent to go inside. Otherwise, you're taking a Q-tip and you're taking the, you know, one thing and putting it into the other, nevertheless. But the lettuces have gone down, and I want to actually do that today. I want to actually go through the greenhouses and clean them out and take stuff out that has to be taken out and put new stuff in. But I kind of got stuck in a little situation today where I tried to move my hydrangeas that I had originally planted in a sunny spot and realized it was too much sun, and then I ended up breaking sprinkler lines. And long story short, I didn't do anything that I wanted to do today, but I'll do it tomorrow, which is transplanting. Transplanting, the best time to really transplant anything or move things around is late afternoon when the sun goes down, or early morning before the sun comes up too hot. So anyway, guys, this is Mike over here at Growtopia. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends and family. Comment below if you have any questions, concerns, or tips or more information. Definitely let me know. I love finding out new information. I talk to a lot of different people about stuff. I share what I do with a lot of different people outside of the YouTube channel. And a lot of times we're all swapping seeds and swapping stories and swapping ideas, and that's all we got to do. We got to grow. We got to get better at what we're doing, because sooner or later, this is the only way we're going to survive. Between the floods, the tsunamis, the volcanoes, the earthquakes, you got to survive somehow or another. Anyway, guys, it's Mike over here at Growtopia. Later.